The Zephyrian fleet emerged from hyperspace like death itself, their obsidian vessels blotting out the stars around Earth's solar system. Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the small blue world through the viewport with the satisfaction of a predator eyeing wounded prey. "Third planet from their star," his tactical officer reported, mandibles clicking with amusement. "Primitive species. They've barely mastered nuclear fusion. Their most advanced weapons are chemical propellants." Kethvar's 4 eyes narrowed as he studied the intelligence reports. The Zephyrians had conquered 47 systems in their march across the galaxy. Each species had followed the same pattern: panic, desperate resistance, then inevitable submission. The humans would be no different. "Open a channel to their planet," he commanded. The transmission reached every device on Earth simultaneously. Kethvar's towering insectoid form appeared on screens worldwide, his voice translated by their advanced linguistics processors. "Inhabitants of the third planet, I am Admiral Kethvar of the Zephyrian Dominion. Your world has been selected for annexation. You have 72 of your hours to surrender unconditionally. Resistance is futile." The transmission ended, leaving Earth in stunned silence. In the United Nations building, Secretary General Maria Santos stared at the blank screen, her mind racing. Around the emergency session table, world leaders sat in various states of shock and terror. "How many ships?" asked President Chen of the Pacific Federation. General Harrison, head of the Global Defense Initiative, consulted his tablet with trembling hands. "Our satellites count over 3,000 vessels. Each one is roughly the size of a city. Their smallest escort ships dwarf our largest battleships." "What are our options?" Santos asked, though she dreaded the answer. "Conventional military response would be suicide," Harrison admitted. But what?" Harrison straightened. "We're human. We don't do conventional." 71 hours later, Kethvar was growing impatient. His scanners detected no military buildup, no desperate evacuation fleets fleeing the system. The humans seemed to be waiting. "Sir," his communications officer chittered nervously, "we're receiving a transmission from the planet." On screen, a middle-aged human woman appeared, wearing simple clothes and sitting in what looked like an ordinary office. She smiled warmly. "Admiral Kethvar, I'm Secretary General Santos. Thank you for giving us time to consider your offer." Kethvar leaned forward, surprised by her casual demeanor. "You have decided to surrender?" "Actually, we have a counteroffer." Santos's smile widened. "We'd like to invite you to surrender to us instead." The bridge fell silent. Several officers began what Kethvar recognized as nervous laughter. "You... what?" Kethvar's voice carried a mix of confusion and rage. "You see, Admiral, you've made a fundamental error. You assumed we were just another primitive species. But here's something your intelligence missed. We're the species that domesticated wolves, survived ice ages, and turned our greatest predators into household pets. We're the species that looked at the deadliest animals on our planet and said, 'I'm going to ride that.'" Santos leaned forward, her expression growing serious. "We're also the species that split the atom, not for energy, but to make better weapons, and then we made thousands of them." "Your nuclear weapons are primitive," Kethvar snarled. "Our shields—" "Oh, Admiral," Santos interrupted. "Who said anything about nuclear weapons?" At that moment, Kethvar's tactical display exploded with warnings. Red dots were appearing throughout his fleet, not around it, but inside it. "Sir!" his tactical officer screamed. "We have massive energy signatures throughout the fleet. How did they—" "Teleportation technology," Santos explained calmly, still visible on the main screen. "You're not the first aliens to visit Earth, Admiral. We learned a lot from the friendly ones, and quite a bit from the ones that weren't so friendly." The first explosions began rippling through the Zephyrian fleet. Not the crude external detonations Kethvar expected, but precise, targeted destruction from within. Humans had somehow placed antimatter charges directly inside his ship's reactor cores. "Impossible!" Kethvar roared. "Our sensors would have detected." "Your sensors are designed to detect Zephyrian technology," Santos said. "They're not calibrated for what we call quantum phase materialization. It's what happens when a species that's really, really good at making things explode meets technology from beings who exist partially outside normal space-time." More ships vanished in brilliant flashes. Kethvar realized with growing horror that his fleet was being systematically dismantled. "You see, Admiral, Earth isn't just home to humans. We're what you might call a refugee planet. Every species you've conquered, some of them escaped here. We've been preparing for you for decades." On the tactical display, Kethvar watched as sleek ships began emerging from seemingly empty space around Earth. They weren't human designs. They were clearly alien, but they broadcast human identification codes. The Vorthon engineers, the crystalline mathematicians, the phantom pilots, they all chose to stand with us, Santos continued. "Because here's what you never understood. We don't just fight for ourselves. We fight for everyone who can't fight. Back!" Kethavar's own ship shuddered as internal explosions began. His crew was evacuating, but there was nowhere to go. The human ships were already moving to intercept escape pods, not to destroy them, he realized, but to capture them. "This is impossible," he whispered. "You're primitives. You barely have space travel." Santos's expression softened with something that might have been pity. "Admiral, we're the species that figured out how to make friends with beings of pure energy, convinced artificial intelligences to join our cause, and taught refugees from 47 different worlds that they had a home worth defending, the Fee." Bridge around Kethvar was failing, emergency lights casting eerie shadows. Through the chaos, Santos's voice remained calm and clear. "We're also the species that never, ever gives up, and we really don't like bullies." As his flagship systems finally failed completely, Kethvar had one last terrible realization. The humans hadn't been preparing for conquest. They'd been preparing for liberation. Every world the Zephyrians had taken would soon hear the same message that was already spreading across their former empire. Earth remembers, Earth is coming, and Earth brings friends. The Zephyrian Armada had come for conquest, expecting to find another helpless world. Instead, they found humanity and learned why the universe had been waiting for them to arrive.